Pop Culture Pastor.
Leah, have you ever done an escape room in your life?
No.
Is it something you want to do?
Yes.
What about if we make the escape room on steroids? Make it the size of a whole town and that it is always changing.
Then I would be out.
Well, that is what From is like. And if you are confused tuning into this episode, because you are expecting this to be Pop Culture Pastor watch-alongs, you are in the right place. This is Pop Culture Pastor watch-alongs. My name is not Dave, it's Cody, and I am joined by my lovely wife, Leah.
Hello.
And today we are diving into Season 4, Episode 9 of From the Calm Before. Every episode, Leah, we have these moments, and it usually makes us scratch our heads. It either ramps up the fear or existential dread or just causes us to feel something. And we call those moments, what the from? And so, do you have a what the from moment from this episode?
Well, for me, it was when they put Victor in handcuffs, because I feel like Victor, nobody takes him seriously because he does come off like maybe he has some developmental issues potentially, and they write him off as crazy, and that just broke my heart.
That was a very heartbreaking scene. I was going to have a what the from, but that one was such a good what the from. I think that is deserving to stand alone. And so the next thing we do on this podcast is loose threads. Things that have happened over the past episodes or seasons that we don't have any clarity on, but are just dangling out there. And maybe this episode might bring some clarity to it, or it might not, because oftentimes with these loose threads, they just keep hanging on with From. And so the first loose thread is, what is the man in yellow's purpose? Why is he doing the things he does? He just keeps appearing and disappearing and reappearing as someone else. Do you have any thoughts on that, Leah?
I think it goes beyond that in what is the man in yellow.
Asking the deeper questions.
Yes.
Okay. Second loose thread is Fatima turning into one of the creatures or night dwellers.
I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I don't think so, but I don't know what the alternative is.
Theoretically, she should not be alive, but yet
Correct.
Is happy-go-lucky, fine as ever. Maybe the best she has been in the past 4 seasons. Maybe we get an answer this episode, maybe not. And then I've added this loose thread. Is Fatima's art project, the Golem, ever going to be seen again or useful to the Fromvillians?
Well, for all we know, she is becoming the Golem. What if she is? We don't know.
That would be weird.
That would be weird. But I don't think that's the weirdest thing that's happened.
This show is weird. So if you're wondering where Dave, the usual host, is, he is on a vacation with his oldest daughter celebrating her graduation, and honestly might be in Fromville country, exploring the beautiful scenery of Maine, but he will be back in time for the finale. But let's dive into this episode. We start with Tabs discussing the man in yellow breaking in, and then Jade comes in, interrupting the conversation Tabitha's having with Boyd, saying he will go in the tunnel, which is a shift from where we left off last episode with Kenny saying, "Are you going in the tunnel?" Didn't think so. And Jade just sitting defeated. And Boyd, who has been anti-Jade and his plans since he started making his visual board, has a change of heart and says he is good with this plan. Remind him what the plan is again. And at this moment, the man in yellow, we shift to the man in yellow, transforming back into Sophia in kind of an upside down visual, which is interesting. Then we flash back to Fromville, where a side character that we have seen off and on, Clara, who is one of the colony house dwellers, the lady in blue. She was a lot more familiar to me than Patricia or Roger were. But she has an interaction with Sophia and doesn't realize Sophia is who Sophia is until Sophia does weird things with her eyes. Leah, how did you feel about that?
I thought it was kind of odd because I feel like if the man in yellow can present himself to any of them and they can remember by just looking in his eyes, I think that's kind of scary.
That is scary. Also, I've seen different theories on, like, are they seeing the eyes of the form that he had when they met him? Or are they seeing stuff that will make them have visions of what the man in yellow presented as when she first met him? A lot could be happening there, and yet we realize they have this connection. Sophia removes her glasses and reminds Clara that there is a bargain they made. And that bargain requires that Clara help roll into the intro credits. And so things are moving rapidly in this episode. I think the episode lasts like 46 minutes, and yet I felt like it was one of the shortest episodes of From that I had seen. So, after the credits roll, we go to the clinic. Marisol and Christy are concerned about Fatima, but are making up cognitive tests with puzzles and expressing that she should not be alive still.
Correct.
We flash to Sophia and Clara going back to her room. Clara reveals that part of the deal is that she gets to go home. Do you think the man in yellow has that power?
No.
You think that this is a trick?
I think some of what he does is a trick, but I also think that he does allow like moments of honesty in there, but that's also a part of him tricking people.
So she thinks that Sophia wants her to stop the crew from getting the bones of the kids that are down in the tomb area, but that's not the case. Sophia is actually okay with it. And what we learn about from Sophia is something that some of us might have suspected. Some of us are like, well, that makes sense. But we learn that what they're doing is a ritual. And that it's not just what they do, but it is how they are going to do it. And if you don't do the ritual the right way, it is meaningless. It is useless. And within religious circles and groups, including Christianity, there is kind of this belief of ritual is important in how you do it and who does it and when it's done. There's a lot of church splits just because of communion. Do you believe that it is the actual blood and body of Christ, and who is blessing it, and when is it blessed, and how is it used? And so yes, there's a right way and a wrong way for ritual, evidently in Fromville, according to Sophia. Then Sophia shares that she is playing games and wants help to speed up some of the games she is playing with the various Fromvillians, which kind of goes back to what Dave and I talked about last week, that at times the man in yellow / Sophia seems a lot like the Dark Knight's Joker. He's just into having fun and mischief. And sometimes he's honest, sometimes he's not. He's just doing things to do them. Okay, so the next scene is Clara and Sophia start to make a blood pact. They're cutting their hands, placing them together, and Sophia is doing her best Bray Wyatt, the Fiend impersonation, saying, "Let me in." But then we go to Colony House or outside Colony House, and there's a group meeting. Boyd, Donna, and the gang are all discussing the plan. Donna's upset, doesn't think it's safe. Boyd's upset because she's upset, and it's like, do you want the man in yellow to keep picking us off? And then we quickly cut to inside the Colony House. And Henry asks a question that I think a lot of people have been asking. Why is there a horse from a carousel in the house?
100%.
Like, who's bringing that? So Henry talks to Patricia about this. And then Patricia acts very odd during this scene.
She does.
She talks about she baked cookies and said it used to help, but then she lingers off. Now, like, in my therapeutic mind, I jump to, is she baking cookies because it helps get her mind off of things? But then, did she bake cookies and some tragedy happened that, like, helped her get through the tragedy, and that she doesn't want to talk about the tragedy because everyone seems to have some trauma here at Fromville? And so we don't get a lot more development out of Patricia in that, but it is interesting that we are getting a lot more Patricia this season. Mm-hmm. Henry, who said, I don't want a cookie, then takes a bite of the cookie and starts to hallucinate again. And as he's hallucinating, he's back in the hospital. He's in the dining room of the hospital with Victor, and they start talking about being anchored and the doctor wanting Henry to cut that anchor. And Victor knows all the Fromvillians' names because Henry talks in his sleep or mumbles, and Victor tells him, you have to cut the anchor. We want you back. And Henry's like, I can't cut the anchor. You're the anchor. And what if I never get to be with you again? And a very heartfelt, troubling, puzzling dynamic. But this leads us to Fromspiracy! Our Fromspiracy is a Leah Fromspiracy about this moment.
Because I think that what's happening to him is real. I think that the man in yellow is allowing like these little brief moments of clarity and truth. Because this whole show, one of the main things that they talk about is stories and telling stories. And I think that's going to be a key here, because I don't think he's seeing something that's not real. But the reason behind why the man in yellow is doing it, I don't know. But I think that's real.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, what's happening in Fromville is not real.
Is not real.
Hospital room, real.
Yes. I think it's a story.
Okay. So that is a Fromspiracy that I know that was popular early on when the show first started. And then, including this moment, people have now a lot of people have started to dismiss, like, well, clearly it's not real because the man in yellow is behind these hallucinations, and that can't be real. But you are making a good counterpoint. So Henry in the hospital scene ends, and we go to the Matthews household. And the Matthews household has Tabitha telling the kids the plan. Julie and Ethan are there. And Julie, with her bad haircut, starts to get upset. Sassy, even. And she doesn't believe the visions that Tabitha had are real.
I don't either.
And Leah is on board with team bad haircut.
Well, it's not. So to go back towards the beginning of the episode, when Tabitha is confronted by the man in yellow, he says to her, you are about to go farther than you've ever been before. You've never done this before. So she's going farther into the story. And you also have to look at some of these characters are not reliable narratives. They're not.
So not reliable narrators. And Julie begins to tell how she thought she was story walking, and then denies that story walking ability and just says it was just seizures, and that she was just causing herself to have seizures, that it wasn't anything real.
Again, I think that's part of like the manipulation tactic, because I do think she was seeing things. But once again, is it reliable?
If we go with the whole hospital narrative and maybe a mental health hospital and maybe a mental health hospital from the 70s even. Electroshock therapy, a big thing, which is like a seizure. And so if you were having delusions or hallucinations, electroshock therapy is something that does happen was used to treat. And so maybe she realized, if I stop doing these or saying this out loud, I stop getting shocked, which mimics a seizure.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
Julie, still upset, brings
her haircut.
Well, not about the haircut, but brings Tabitha a talisman, because Tabitha is all knowing. Asks, who made these? Why did you make these? How long ago did you make them? Tabitha's like, it doesn't work that way. Julie's like, it should. But you are just living in fear. You're feeding into it.
Yeah. And I do agree with her. I think that all the townspeople continue to give Fromville exactly what it wants.
Next scene, we are outside the health clinic, and Clara has a tonic, a health remedy that is tainted with man in yellow blood. And she goes and visits Fatima. Fatima is thankful, but it clearly isn't thirsty or hungry or anything at that moment. And Clara's like, you gotta take it, use it while it's fresh. It works better when you use it when it's fresh. So she's pushing. Fatima finally drinks it. Then the next scene, we have Victor having an existential crisis, talking at his mom's grave marker. And in one of the awkward, funny moments that I laughed at that you probably shouldn't laugh at, Victor's like, I don't know if I should be talking here. I don't know where I should be talking or who I should be talking to. Tabitha says she's you now. Yeah. And Victor, struggling with all these heavy emotions, things to do, not having necessarily the comfort of visiting a loved one's grave that he used to have, when out of nowhere shows the boy in white.
Who got older.
Who is older, and he's been aging this season. And so one of my two Fromspiracies is the boy in white is getting older, and because things are changing so rapidly at Fromville, and also Victor is having to handle more mature things, where the boy in white was probably, when we first met him, the age that Victor seems to be stuck at, whether due to trauma or just developmental delays.
Oh, that's good. That's really good, Cody. Ooh, I like that.
So that's one of my Fromspiracies. But we then move off from the boy in white after he says they can't knock over that tree. Mm-hmm. You got to leave the bottle tree alone. And so we go to Ethan and Tabitha. They're talking on the front porch. Ethan questions if he talked to his dad or not after Jim had died, but highlights this place tries to make everyone afraid of what might help.
I agree. I also think there's kind of this division in the town, because the people that are at the house versus the ones that are actually in the town, I think they have two mindsets. They're completely different. One's willing to do whatever they can to get out, where the other one's about preserving life.
Good observation. It's at that moment, after Ethan gives this profound statement of encouragement to Tabitha, that Tabitha sees the kids, the Onkui kids.
Really, really creepy.
This time, they're pointing. But then we flash on over to Jade and Boyd. They're messing with radios. Jade says, like, oh, we can communicate. We're not going to actually be able to talk. We can click like Morse code. And it's at that point Victor interrupts, telling everyone the tree can't be pulled over. The boy in white said so. The boy in white knows things. Victor is ready to start a green initiative to stop the tree from being pulled over. Go all out for it. And then heartbreak happens.
Heartbreak. Free Victor.
Victor gets arrested. And so kind of dive into like what you saw, how that made you feel about that whole scene.
Once again, I think that Victor has a lot of answers. He doesn't realize it because he's not a reliable narrator. That's the way I'm going to word it, because I think that's important. Because how many times did he say, I'm trying to help you, I'm trying to help you, and they just don't listen.
Yes. And so he who has been there the longest and has survived multiple attacks and all the bad things to happen gets discarded. And Tabitha comes along, tries to help him, but then quickly moves on to tell Boyd it can only be her and Jade that go into the tunnels, mirroring the speech that Sophia gave to Clara, saying, I think it really matters how we do this. And she uses the talisman to show like, hey, there's two people on that. Who do you think those two people are? And so we are now getting not only what to do, but how to do it.
Right.
Maybe they're onto something. Maybe it's all in vain. We move quickly over to Sophia. It's about to become night. Sophia tells Boyd she is doing her part by helping the rope ladder crew tonight. Love that. Then she goes into the diner, sits down, and like a lot of Fromvillians before her, starts to mess with the jukebox. But unlike all the other Fromvillians before her, she actually has luck with it. And as luck has it, it starts playing a song, and it's an upbeat song. It is our jukebox song of the episode, and it is Doctor My Eyes by Jackson Browne. Wonderful song. Love me some Jackson Browne. But the song sounds super delightful, but is actually about emotional exhaustion, disillusionment with the world, witnessing so much pain, conflict, and disappointment, feeling numb. Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying.
Ooh.
So this was written after like the 1960s and early 70s with the Vietnam War and political turmoil, but sounds a little bit like what some of our friends at Fromville are experiencing. I do think that the music
The
that
choice
they play
of song is very important.
always has some meaning to it. As we are entering our home stretch, the creatures are hanging out by the diner as everyone's working, and Patricia's scared of them. Sophia's not really bothered. Costa being the voice of reason of just keep working. Then we move over back to the clinic. It's still nighttime. Fatima can't sleep and is now losing her hair. Has an upset stomach. Do you make anything of this?
The golem doesn't have hair.
The golem doesn't have hair. But she also drank the man in yellow's blood, which we saw what it did to Henry. And he's having these moments of either being awake or moments of hallucination that may lead to something catastrophic. Only time will tell. So we quickly move on from that. Kenny and Boyd are talking. Kenny gets told to stay back. And Kenny initially upset, but Boyd says, you were right when you told me I shouldn't be the one to test out the scarecrow poker sticks. And I'm telling you that you should stay here because if things go sideways, we need a leader. It's not good if all of us are there. So Kenny gets told to stay back in Fromville as everyone's gearing up for this 2-part mission. Part 1, Jade and Tabitha going in the tunnels. Part 2, the crew up top willing and ready to pull that tree down and drop the rope so that way Bones and people get to come up. Oh, before we move on, Boyd and Kenny do have a drink of Father Cautry's last bit of his stash, and they toast to better days. That's wishful thinking, I think.
Very much so.
We move on to Tabitha telling Ethan that her and Jade have to be the ones to go by themselves and that she'll be back in like 3 hours. So
that was oddly specific. I was like, okay.
She is very optimistic herself, yes. Which this is the most optimism that I feel they have had since Jim tried to build that radio tower. And so they're very optimistic. Jade and Tabitha begin to move on. Jade's like, thankfully no one tried to talk me out of it. Probably would have stopped. But instead of using the entrance in Colony House that we discovered via mushroom trip, we go through a cave opening in the ground.
Yes.
Which I find interesting because if everything in the mushroom trip is super important and is leading them to potentially getting out, why do you not use the entrance that the mushroom trip helped you discover?
It was like 2 episodes worth. I don't understand. Yes, I agree.
Well, Tabs and Jade enter the tunnels from a cave. The crew is around the bottle tree ready for Morse code messages from Tabitha and Jade, which they get the first message that they're in. But then we go back to the diner. And in the diner, Clara tells Sophia there is a change in who's going in the tunnel. Sophia's not happy because she should have been made known of this change a long time ago. And Clara is like, I just learned of it. And at that moment, my favorite character walks in. Oh, this is heartbreaking. Elgin has a picture. And he shows Sophia the picture and is like, hey, this lady kind of looks like you. And at that moment, she says, not only does it resemble her, it is her. He is very confused. Clara is told to lock the doors. Elgin finds out Sophia can only take the form of people who die here.
Exactly. So what is the man in yellow originally?
What does the man in yellow look like? Because evidently, probably that person was one of the visitors to Fromville that got stuck.
For sure.
And so we leave the diner without any resolution, but things are not looking good for my friend Elgin, and online is slandering his name left and right.
Which is not, I think that's wrong, because it's never been a secret that he is very kind, he's very empathetic, easily manipulated, which I think will come into play more in the final season. But I mean, he did what anybody would have done in that situation.
I was going to say, I think that he genuinely sees and looks for the good in people.
Yes.
And so, like...
he had no reason to think she was bad.
Yes. Where, like us, the viewing audience, we have seen Sophia change, and we have seen the actions that she has done. But no one is talking about Sophia. Where finally in this show, we have started to talk to each other about what's going on. Well, Tabitha and Jade make it to the tomb area. They duct tape plastic over the entrance, put up a talisman. As the crew is prepping to remove the tree, Tabitha and Jade start digging. The digging wakes up the creatures. They look as delightful as they have ever been.
They always have smiles on their faces. They're so happy.
Happiest people in all of Fromville, some
Literally.
might say. Jade finds the tomb lid, This whole digging scene, I was upset with Tabitha because it looked like she had never operated a shovel before.
You did complain about that.
I did. And they pry open the tomb lid. They find bones. And the episode ends with the creature saying, "You shouldn't be doing that." Oh, such a cliffhanger. And so with that being said, my second Fromspiracy is directly connected to this scene because something I asked you and something I have seen online others say, that tomb looks big.
It's big.
And the bones don't look small.
No.
And they look like maybe older adolescent or adult size bones. So, you have thoughts on what the bones might be. I'll let you share what your thoughts are, and then I'll dive into my Fromspiracy.
I think that the bones are Tabitha and Jade.
Tabs and Jade.
Yes.
Bringing themselves out of the mire. My thoughts are, for my Fromspiracy, are Tabitha and Jade the ones who betrayed everyone else for immortality, and that either those bones are the various versions of Tabitha and Jade, or are they the others that were the initial colony of Fromville? Are they their bones, and Tabitha and Jade needs to amend this somehow? I feel that it's an allegory, that this show might be an allegory of not only the garden story from the Bible in Genesis, with the forbidden fruit maybe being an affair. Because I have said that I felt like Tabitha and Jade might be an affair, that Jim and Tabitha were going through a divorce, and that marriage vows are something sacred. And if this is a story being told from a kid's point of view and having to relive trauma of going through a broken household, maybe, whether it's Victor or Ethan, that maybe this happening is because Tabitha and Jade always choose to have the affair and sell the others out, breaking the sacred vow. So it's not a perfect one. None of these Fromspiracies usually are, but
it's hard to. I just think that I've stopped looking at it as a time loop versus an unfinished story, and that's what I think, that the story needs to be finished.
Yes. Speaking of finishing up, who's your winner of the episode?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with my boy Elgin, but he was just being nice.
Okay.
Did he win anything? No, but he won my heart.
So Elgin being nice and maintaining who he is.
Humanity.
Yes. I think my winner of the episode is Sophia, because she is getting things done.
Contrarian Cody.
Loser of the episode.
Boyd.
One of my other thoughts is, was this whole episode just a hallucination by Boyd?
Oh.
Because it was so rapid.
It was.
But my loser of the episode is going to be Acosta, because she was finally doing something relevant, but it was being undermined by the man in yellow that she did not know was there. How many Clara tonics out of 10 are you giving this episode?
Can I go 7.5?
You can go 7.5. So I'm a lot higher on this one. I love the pace. I love the action. I love that we're getting more of the motives from the man in yellow and how the man in yellow has operated. So I went 9.25. Next week, we are back with the thrilling conclusion of this season, setting up the last season of From. And so don't miss listening to this pod next week and watching the last episode of From. On behalf of Leah, I'm Cody, and this has been another episode of Pop Culture Pastor.